Hello, friends. It's been a while since we had a cliffhanger with Myrkur right in the middle of it, eh? And this one was a real Bobby Dazzler. He and his resistance companions ambushed by something in the Gossamers. And then the Seer Vilena pushed the there-but-not-there monk through reality, I think. That was new, certainly. Thought we had seen it all here, you know? So, are you ready to hear the rest of the tale? Then let us commence. Let's catch up with the Ragtags. They're packing up their camp on the stone shores just as a rather large thunderstorm is starting along the coast. That's actually not that uncommon for the stone shores. It's a pretty stormy place. Maybe they should call it the Storm Shores, eh? The companions continued their march along the coast to the Silver Spire, the abandoned bastion of the Silver Sworn, also known as the Nedan, also known as the Lost. The honourable order of paladins, that were the defenders of all that was good in Silver Hain for centuries, but are now all but extinct after a long war left a shadowy tyrant in charge who preferred to create his own soldiers than use knights. Huh. Feels like I've heard that story before somewhere. Along the journey, Regal suddenly noticed two riders streaking ahead of the companions, on a direct course for the distant Silver Spire. The riders appeared to be knights in full armour, but then, as quickly as they had appeared, they were gone. Huh. Curious. Just then, Brace felt a sharp pain in his skull. This was no ordinary draconic headache, though. Within seconds, the Dragonborn was screaming in agony as the searing pain had gotten worse, and blood had begun dripping from his eyes, nose, and ears. Finally, the unbearable pain hit its zenith and knocked the sorcerer to the ground, barely conscious. With that, the pain receded. As the haggard, though still alive, Brace got to his feet, he felt different, though not entirely different than what used to be normal. He felt another presence in his mind. It was Myrkur. Somehow Vilena had found a way to retangle the monk and the sorcerer, and surprisingly to everyone, they couldn't be happier. I love a happy reunion. Myrkur brought everyone up to speed with what happened in the Gossamers, and how the situation was very much not good. Clearly there was something going on. But what that something is, or was, is uncertain. Was it worth dropping what they were doing on the stone shores to head over there? Unia argued that it didn't even make sense that they were looking to do what they were doing on the stone shores, or anywhere in Myrkur Hain, let alone dragging themselves across the land to a haunted forest. It wasn't their responsibility or duty or oath to get involved in its politics and save this domain. Indeed, the Ragtags had promised to rescue Jewel, and they had. Furthermore to that, fulfilling their end of the deal meant that, in exchange, Answers and Jewel would take them to the domain of Darkon, where they had actually wanted to go. So there really wasn't any reason to keep hanging around here in a realm ruled over by an unstable dictator who went by the title the Lord Shade, was there? That's a pretty solid point. Right now the Ragtags didn't have much skin in the Myrkur Hain game. While Answers wholeheartedly agreed, Jewel did not. The Tabaxi agent had lost a hand here. Oh yeah, guess I didn't mention that he had lost a hand to Hivernion back when he had trekked through Coldmire on his own. The vengeful frost froze it right off the poor guy. Anyway, Jewel wasn't just going to leave the Hainish people to fend for themselves in a tyranny. Sloane, sensing a long and drawn-out argument brewing, also realised that this probably wasn't the time, and certainly not the best place for it, so she pointed out that they were close to the Silver Spire, so it probably wouldn't hurt to take a look there. Perhaps something would turn up at the ruins that might settle the disagreement one way or another. Or, you know, perhaps they would find a lot of treasure and magic items, and that would be pretty great as well. The companions pressed on, and within the hour had reached the Silver Spire. On first blush, it certainly lived up to the legends. A wondrous, tall, gleaming silver tower in elegant fey design. Regal was beset by visions of knights arriving at the spire when it was in its full glory. It was a breathtaking and impressive place indeed. Then, in a flash, it was gone, and he was back on the grey and stormy coast under a ruined tower. Upon investigation, the spire and several ruins around it were abandoned some time ago, centuries probably. The tower had its high silver walls intact on one side, but around the other, the friends could see that the insides had come crashing down, and the walls had partially crumbled. While investigating the various rubble and stone foundations, Regal continued to have visions of this place, and the Order whose home it was, at their height. While poking around a squat, half-ruined stone tower that they found out was once the library and archives, as well as an arcane laboratory, the Ragtags discovered some notes by the chief arcanist of the Order that had survived the elements and ages. The notes indicated that the Order had been searching for a way to keep Valrilin in check, and were working on forging something called the Amulet of Seasons, a powerful artifact that had various properties that could potentially stop the Lord Shade and his minions. While investigating the spire itself, the companions found an old footlocker with several potions in it, as well as more notes. These latest notes were from the Knight Commander of the Order. In these notes, the Knight Commander Bronwyn detailed a search for a lost Hainish artifact known as the Opal Artemisia. The Order was searching for the opal to use in something they were calling the Beacon, a sort of weapon or countermeasure that could potentially turn the tide against Valrilin. In the other note, the heroes learned that the opal had eventually been found, and that the Order was going to put the beacon into use immediately. It also, rather ominously, mentioned that a huge storm was brewing off the coast near the spire, and the Order suspected that it was Valrilin who may have been responsible. The Ragtags also unearthed the amazingly intact articulated housing for the beacon, as seen in one of Regal's visions, although there was still no sign of the Opal Artemisia, which the housing was meant to hold. Covered by a pile of debris and rubble, the Ragtags found a solid trapdoor in the floor of the spire. Opening it revealed a well-constructed stone staircase down into a tunnel system. The tunnels were spacious and also well built, with special lighting that lit up as the heroes walked by, and then faded out after they had passed. These tunnels all connected to the old buildings around the spire, and then led to a single long staircase that wound downward, seemingly down the coastal cliffs nearby. The Ragtags could hear the roar of the ocean and the crashing of the storm as they descended. Soon the staircase was open to the elements, and they saw that it was indeed descending the basalt cliffs to the ocean side. Regal had another vision that revealed that this place was once known as the Hidden Harbour, a secluded inlet where the Silver Sworn had built a port for themselves. As the Ragtags reached the bottom of the staircase, they could see that there were some remaining ruined buildings and a huge cave mouth against one of the cliffs. The storm continued to rage and the sea continued to roil all around them, and the companions moved along the cliff walls, getting closer to the buildings and the cave mouth. Varys sent his bat Familiar into the cave's entrance. The entrance was quite large, about 100 feet high, and it led to a smaller, though also large, more 50-foot-tall tunnel that wound downward into darkness. Varys urged the bat further, and it flew into the tunnel. Shortly after entering, its echolocation pinged off of a huge shape that lurched to life and moved forward. Then a flash of light, and the bat was gone. Outside, the Ragtags wondered what had happened. The thunder boomed all around them, the rain poured down, the sea churned and crashed. But then another sound could be heard, low at first but steady, getting closer, getting louder. Like footfalls, huge, menacing footfalls. Coming from the cave mouth, approaching fast. In the darkness of the huge cave, beyond its entrance, sparks could be seen. Arcs of lightning, throwing brief glimpses of the interior, casting quick bursts of light on the columns of black, shiny basalt, and a huge, menacing shadow drawing near. And then it appeared. A huge, terrible dragon, its indigo scales quickly becoming slick with rain, its wings unfurled, and arcs of electric death washing from its maw and skin as it continued forward. Then a voice, a growling, enormous voice that shook the ancient stone, drowned out the endless ocean waves, filled their ears.
Who disturbs the long sleep of Angoresh, the giant's bane?
So, yeah,